The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Brought to you by Macy's Grocery Stores. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio and the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome on in, everybody. It is another edition of a Sunday morning and your First and 12 program brought to you by the folks at Macy's, the freshest fruits and vegetables, and the best of your local brands, all brought to you by the folks at Macy's. Happy shopping, and they also bring you First and 12 every week. Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry. Mitch is in Florida. We are dealing with a phone connection, which means, of course, that Mitch is I don't know, Mitch, this is this is your version of like getting a little banged up but still playing through it. That's what I love about you. You still get in the game, brother.
No question. I have to. Talking Big 12 football, I love it. So, and always having these weekend recaps, it's the best. So this league provides so many storylines, and I think it's a perfect segue into our Big 12 headlines.
12 headlines.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
The dozen storylines that shape this week of Big 12 football. Headline 1.
All right off the bat, Utah absolutely fumbles it on the road at Houston. Falls to the Cougars 17-14. You heard Kyle Whittingham in the last segment say 14 points not going to get you a lot of wins in this conference, and of course it will not. But that's the fourth straight loss for the Utes. And frankly, when you look at the next 4 games for Utah, Mitch, I think we're all looking at what that roadmap looks like to even get to 6 wins. And that looks like a tough hill to climb after the last 2 losses that the Utes have taken. It's
a shocking turn for the Utes, that's for sure. And it was shocking for them to lose to a Houston team that really was at the bottom of this league. But Houston, they get a chance to celebrate. The kicker, Jack Martin, hits a 43-yard field goal to win the game and hand Utah its 4th straight loss. But credit to Houston. They've had a couple wins in Big 12 play now over Utah and TCU. It's better than I think people thought they were going to be. Now, there was a low bar for Houston this year, but they're a little bit more competitive than maybe we thought.
Yeah, 3 wins and 5 losses. And frankly, there are other teams that are probably in worse shape than Houston is, and that'll probably be reflected in our conference rankings that we'll do every week, but you'll find out next hour. BYU, number 3 on the list, remains unbeaten, a 37-24 win at UCF. And that one is, like I said, Mitch, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, and we'll be able to hear from Kalani next hour. But at this point, when people ask me, is this BYU team real? I go, what else am I supposed to say, man? Like, I keep asking you every week, hey, is this a good enough sample size? Is 4 games? Like, we didn't feel good about 4 games. We didn't feel good about 5 wins for BYU fans to say, yeah, I don't know, Jake Retzlaff, he should be the guy. I don't know. At 6 and 7 and 8, I think now we should probably give BYU its due and say they are what their record is. They are that undefeated team right now, and until proven otherwise, they have all the answers so far the teams have been taking on.
This is the best team in the Kalani Sitake era, and to be at year 9 in a season where he faced a lot of pressure, it's a big year for BYU, and this is the best group that he's assembled since he took the reins. Headline number 4, UCF benched Jakari Brown and went to Dylan Risk, their 4th-string quarterback. What's notable there, KJ Jefferson has completely fallen off the map.
Done.
They're not even considering going to KJ Jefferson. Someone in the media elevator going down to the field for postgame, I was talking with some UCF media, and the UCF media is like, he's just done, man. KJ Jefferson did not come in prepared.
Whoa.
He was out of shape and not ready. There was some reports that he was up to 270 at UCF, and he just wasn't physically ready, and Gus Malzahn has given up on KJ Jefferson.
270? Put me in, bro. I'll throw some balls around the field for you. Bench
Yes,
me, I'll be just as
here.
good. Give me some of that NIL money, brother. But, yeah, it was quite weird to see that happen because, you know, I think Gus Malzahn is also fighting for his job at this point, so anything will work. If it starts to get something going, gets him a spark, my heavens, go with Dylan Risk the rest of the way. Number 5, TCU is down 34-17, and I thought, well, there you go. Texas Tech is starting to get back on track, and TCU, well, they're not going to come back from this. And, of course, they prove us otherwise, and they come back, and Josh Hoover, 344. This guy continues to kind of be this up and down, totally schizophrenic week to week with Josh Hoover. But they win 35-34, and we talked about it earlier. It's like, look, Tech can score, but they cannot give up, or they cannot stop anybody on the offense or on the defensive side of the ball, and that's a problem for them. And they're kind of showing their true colors. I think they're down to 5-3 on the season now. They've lost 2 straight in conference, and that'll do it for them in terms of the conference race, at least at this point.
Kansas State rallies in the fourth quarter with a late field goal to extend its win streak over Kansas. They've now won 16 in a row over the Jayhawks, but a lot tougher than I think people were thinking in Manhattan, but Kansas State held on.
Yeah, and Kansas is actually, and listen, this is me planting the seed of a little bit of fear and doubt for BYU fans when Kansas comes into Provo in a few weeks. Jalen Daniels looking a lot better than what we saw at the beginning of the year. I mean, that's truth, but it's also a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment because Kansas is still 2-6, and they've got to win every game out if they want to go to a bowl game. And frankly, Lance Leipold, I don't know what's going to happen with him and his offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes. I'm not sure what the future of him is going to hold, but it's not looking good there in Lawrence for their football team. Crazy
to think that Leipold last winter was maybe the favorite to get the Washington job. He turns it down, stays at Kansas, and now they're 2-6. Jeez. Kansas has been an epic failure this season. Nico Marchiol leads West Virginia in his second career start at quarterback. He leads the Mountaineers to a 31-26 win over Arizona, but it wasn't as close as the score would indicate. The Mountaineers were up 31-13. They scored 3 times on fourth down. West Virginia gets a nice road win, 3 time zone game too, so that's a nice win for the Mountaineers.
Next up, you've got Baylor, who gets its second win in a row, thanks to some nice heroics, but also the fact that Oklahoma State can still not figure themselves out. Mitch, I don't know what to think, and that's your headline number 10, which is Oklahoma State loses their 5th straight. Not only that, still scoreless in conference play. Ollie Gordon did not get to that 100-yard rushing mark again. He got injured, and he's been a mess this year. And, frankly, Mike Gundy and his guys, they've got a lot of questions to answer. And, frankly, at this point, I don't know if you have any answers to them. You might just shut the season down for Mike Gundy and his guys. He's not going to lose his job. But, man, he's asking a lot out of these guys, and I think at some point he's kind of pointing the fingers at these kids, and it's not good news down there in Stillwater.
It is not right now. And Colorado in Big 12 After Dark, and it truly was after dark. Being out here on the East Coast, watching a Big 12 game until 1:30 at night. Colorado gets a win over Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Shedeur Sanders got a little bit banged up. The hip, there was a hit to his hip in the second half, so that's going to be something to monitor. But Colorado takes care of business at home once again, taking down the Bearcats.
Yeah, and Cincinnati had been putting together a nice little run there, and I think that it, hitting this deal and kind of trying to lean on Brendan Sorsby, who had not a very good game for the Bearcats, but you saw what Colorado is doing. They're now 6-2. I guess you're going to have to start seeing those guys getting those votes. You're going to see them popping into the top 25 probably here pretty soon. But again, that's a team that BYU does not have to face this year. They've already got themselves at 6-2, but they do only have one conference loss, and so we'll see how this thing ends up for Coach Prime and his guys. But a shock there. Cincinnati it was a battle of 2 5-2 teams. Cincinnati goes to 5-3 on the season. There are your Big 12 headlines. Let's take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more to break down here for you on 1st and 12. It's a Sunday morning. That means Mitch, Harper, and I, we're here for you. We're going to jump in more around the corner. Let's get to our power rankings. My heavens. I mean, that's going to be next hour. But I'm just telling you, there's going to be a lot to jump into this week here with our sound roundup. Let's get into it next right here on 1st and 12, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone and KSL News Radio. Stay with us.